Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a video on what I want to see from E3. Specifically what I want to see from Nintendo at E3. What I think are the most likely things to be shown at E3. I hope you enjoy my new B-roll footage. You'll see me in the background here. I'm playing some Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. Which makes sense because the focus for Nintendo at this E3 will be the new Super Smash Bros. Game. Now, we don't know yet if this is going to be a brand new game or sort of like what Splatoon 2 was to Splatoon 1, where they sort of like modified a lot of the things from the first Splatoon a bit, but basically kept the core gameplay the same and didn't really like tinker too much with the formula, I guess, if that makes sense. I think that's a likely option. I think that the new Super Smash Bros. Game for the Switch will sort of be a little bit more of like, you know, a somewhat modified, maybe edition of Smash Wii U. My hope for the game is that it has like multiple play options to it. Something, you know, that'll please every Smash fan base, because the Smash Brothers fans who enjoyed Melee's more fast-paced nature, I think would really appreciate if there was like an option to have that mode. Like, you know, you could change, you know, how fast the game plays depending on like how it's played. So like you could have like a melee pace mode, you could have a brawl pace mode if you like sort of the more slower pace, sort of casual, just sort of playing for fun, if you call it that sort of mode. You could have like keep the sort of in between that Super Smash Bros. 4 had, where it's faster than Brawl, a little slower than Melee, but it takes out all the tripping. By the way, please don't bring back the tripping Sakurai. That was just like the worst thing that you did in Brawl. But I hope you learned from that. As far as characters go, I care more about quantity than quality. I'd love to see some like really good new original characters. I know it might not be. I think it's about time they got Crash Bandicoot into Smash Brothers. I just think he would be such a great addition. His movesets, I think, would add just so many new just things to it, and it would be just awesome. Now we have like Pac-Man, Mario, Sonic, Mega Man, and Crash Bandicoot, like, all duking it out. Like, how cool would that be? I wouldn't mind seeing some more Metroid characters. I think that we're probably not going to get Ridley, guys, but I think we could get Sylux. I think Sylux from Metroid Prime Hunters could be a really good addition to the game and finally give the Metroid franchise more of the recognition it deserves. I mean, do we really need any more Fire Emblem characters? Though, let's be honest, there's probably going to be at least 2 more in this game. I also think we're overdue for some new Zelda characters. I sort of have a hard time thinking about which new ones from Zelda I want the most. For me, I'd love to see Skull Kid from Majora's Mask as a playable character. I think that he has a lot of just potential to be something just wholly unique from any of the other playable Zelda characters, and since they kind of botched up Ganondorf by making him just a clone of Captain Falcon, I think this would be a good time to really show, you know, have a really unique sort of playable Zelda character in a Smash Bros. Game. The other option, which has already been talked about a lot, is Midna, specifically Wolf Link in Midna. This could work a little bit like a more realistic version of like the Duck Hunt dog and the bird on the Duck Hunt dog's back. Slightly less annoying, less trolly, if you will. I could see a great variety of movesets that could make them really fun characters to play with. I'll go into that if I ever do like a more in-depth Smash Brothers Switch prediction video. These are more just my personal hopes. I expect we'll definitely get some Fire Emblem characters. I definitely think we'll get at least one announcement of a third-party character in this game. I don't know who that will be yet. I hope it's Crash Bandicoot, but it could be anyone at this point. I think that Metroid Prime 4 is a few years out still. It's possible we might get a very short teaser, but honestly, I think this could be like the next Breath of the Wild, just in terms of like waiting period and like anticipation. But my hope is that when it does come, maybe not this E3, but I think it'll be shown more in depth next E3, that it'll really like hype us up and give us something to look forward to. But what I think, and this might not be a big chance of happening, but I would not mind at all seeing an HD high definition re-release of the Metroid Prime trilogy in high definition, re-released for the Nintendo Switch, in order to sort of tide us over, if you will, for Metroid Prime 4. I mean, it's 3 of the best games of all time. And I thought that the bundle on Wii was just brilliant. There's no reason why they couldn't do that on Switch. Like, they could just up-res the textures a little bit, maybe modify some of the sound effects to make them more high quality, to match, like, today's standards, I guess. But, like, keep the general gameplay the same, and, like, I think just that would be brilliant. Speaking of which, I'm sure we're going to get a few new port announcements. I know we'll probably get a few third-party ports, some of which, we already know about. Others, are up in the air. I know Fortnite's a thing that a lot of people think is going to happen. I could see that. I've actually never played the game, and I don't know too much about it, but I could see it happening. My hope is that we get more brand new, like, exclusive Switch game announcements, though. Like, really exciting ones. Like, not just, like, mini-game collections. I don't need another 1-2 Switch announcement. I played it a little bit. Wasn't really anything to write home about, in my opinion. I hope we get some new Switch games. And lastly, this year, 2018, marks the 20th anniversary of one of my favorite games of all time, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which came out in November of 1998. So I think we'll see something about that, at the very minimum, honoring that. Maybe it'll be like a new character announcements for Smash Brothers. Maybe it'll be like a new, some sort of new like DLC for like, I don't know, like one of their games, other games. I don't think it's very likely, although I'd absolutely love it if they did, that they like fully like remade it into a high definition with like Breath of the Wild's visual style and physics engine even a little bit. Like, updated certain aspects of the gameplay, like the combat and stuff, and maybe added some extra bonus things to the world and dungeons. But I don't see that happening, because knowing Nintendo, they like to use their assets into brand new Zelda games, generally speaking. It's possible there could be a port of the 3DS game to the Switch, although, again, I don't see that as a huge possibility, just because I feel like, it's sort of a game that, at this point, people expect more from, like, games on Switch, especially after Breath of the Wild. Going back and playing, like, Ocarina of Time on the same console could feel a little sparse, maybe, like, which I feel like it works better on the 3DS in that capacity, unless they were, like, literally going to go back and overhaul, like, the overworld and, like, make it bigger, which, again, I don't really see them doing. I do, however, think there's a possibility that we could get a new 2D Zelda game. My next video that I'm going to do is actually going to be a video about potential for re-releasing the very first Zelda game, but like updating it, sort of like what they did with the first Metroid and Metroid Zero Mission, or Metroid 2, The Return of Samus, into Metroid Samus Returns. I could see them doing something like that for the very first Zelda game, which I feel like has a very high like potential of like being a much better game than it is in the 21st century. And I feel like they did a great job with those 2 Metroid remakes, like full-on reimaginings of the games that were just great. They were faithful to the original games, but they improved upon them and just made them a heck of a lot more fun and more playable. Looked better, sounded better. I love they did something like that with The Legend of Zelda for the NES. But we'll see what happens. There's not really a whole lot I can say. I have hopes from E3. What I don't want to see a bunch of minigame compilations from Nintendo, and I don't want to see too much like, I just don't want to see too much of that. I don't really care about, ice cream minigames or anything like that. I want real games, I guess. I also don't want too many ports, because I like that there's a lot of games that are available to play on Switch, but at the same time, I want, more like brand spanking new games, and I know we're going to get at least one. I just hope we get more than that. At least one or two more brand spanking new games. And that Nintendo doesn't focus too much on games they've already made and released on other consoles, and focuses, on the new stuff that excites us. That's really my hope for E3. I'm going to try to do a live stream of some of it, at least my Smash Brothers reaction, so long as my work doesn't get in the way. I hope that you all enjoyed this video, and I'll hear from you soon. Take care.